All right, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think you need to mute two of your things are open. I think you need to mute one.
Okay, I'm going to. Muted one. All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hang you up off of the phone, Abena.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, let me see who's on here. Terris twice. All right, can everybody hear me out there?
Yes.
Find out that it does not. So now I have to.
This is a learning experience for all of us, it looks like tonight.
No worries.
Yes.
Mr. Walters, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Thanks for joining us. Sorry about the delay.
No problem.
Miss Stephanie, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, so we have Anum, Mulan, Miss Judith, are you there?
She's yeah.
She's here?
Yes, she's here. I see her name here.
Okay. And Miss Tawana, are you here temporarily? See your name. Tawana? I guess not. All right. We have a couple of players here, so this is great. All right, everybody. So I guess we're good for time being. Okay. I want to thank you guys for joining in with us this evening. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. This is my first time using this platform, so it's a learning experience for me. I guess it's a learning experience for all of us right now. But thanks for joining us. With our topic, we want to discuss empowering the melanated people with spirituality and metaphysics. And we have the two sponsors of the sponsor of the Melanated Soul Expo that's coming out. That's coming up at June 18th in Bronx, New York, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And they're both here, Miss Abena Anum and Miss Judith Pierre Dasley. Am I saying your last name correctly? Miss Judith?
I know she's here, but I think she's also driving at the same time.
Oh, okay. Is she able to unmute while she's driving? I'm gonna ask her to unmute. Miss Judith?
Yes, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, thanks for joining us. I just want to make sure I was pronouncing your last name correctly. Is it Dasley?
Dazzle.
Dazzle, that's even better. Judith Dazzle, wow. Okay, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry for the little technical difficulties, but we're here now. Yes, so we have Miss Abena Anum and Miss Judith Pierre Dazzle of Rock Collage, and they're the sponsors of the Melanated Soul Expo that takes place on June 18th in Bronx, New York. That will be from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a a beautiful, a wonderful metaphysical event for people of color. So we want to thank these two sponsors. We're going to have a question and answer or an interview of these two this evening. And of course, my name is Terris Strength. I'm the host of Spirituality, A New Perspective on the WBNN network and Ngozi Multimedia, where we discuss all topics spiritual and metaphysical. I've had minor success there, a bunch of connection records. Hopefully you'll be nominated for the Internet Radio Hall of Fame with Ngozi Multimedia. So thanks for joining us, everyone. We're going to start a discussion. Hope more people will come in, but what we have is enough. And so we want to get started and ask some questions. So Ms. Dazzle, be safe. I heard that you're in transit right now. Just be careful out there if you are. I guess she's still there. Ms. Anum.
Look, I pray that everything goes
Yes.
well with Gary.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so let me just, while we're getting settled in, I want to read a little bit about the bios of both of the sponsors of the event. And I'm going to start with Miss Anum. All right, so she is the holistic resources facilitator, connecting people to wellness and healers to opportunities. There she is, opportunities. And she's a holistic event coordinator, having coordinated over 40 holistic healing and wellness experiences in the Bronx since 2012. So she likes to say she's a holistic spider, weaving wellness connections for our community. So we want to thank her. We want to thank her this evening for participating in this interview. And for Miss Judith, the owner of Rock Collage Healing Gallery in Teaneck, New Jersey. Rock Collage was created in 2013 and established in 2017 with the intention of being a wellness oasis and resource for the community. Judith, the owner and operator, is a grandmaster Reiki healer with a wealth of experience in other areas of wellness, including nutritional consultant, crystal work, astrology, herbalism, jewelry making, and intuitive readings. She has dedicated her life to helping others gradually heal and grow, and she does this by offering affordable services and products that support physical, mental, and spiritual health. At Rock Collage, it's encouraged that clients explore their individualism, discover self-love, and find second chances at life. With a mission to level up a person's wellness experience through holistic remedies and crystals and other metaphysical tools. So we want to thank her for being on this Zoom call, this Facebook Zoom meeting this evening. And we're going to talk to her tonight and find out more about her thoughts on this topic. All right. So let's get started with the questions. Okay. All right. So I want to pose these questions to our panel, and you guys can all chime in also, our listeners that are there. How do we demystify metaphysics? How do we demystify metaphysics? Mr. Anum, do you want to start off answering this one? How do we demystify metaphysics?
Having an audio issue here.
Oh, I hear you now for a second. Let me see, can I ask you to unmute? All right.
Oh, thank you
I
for
hear you.
the
I hear you now.
introduction. Yes,
I can hear you now.
thanks for the introduction. Thank you very much.
Okay. So the question is, how do we demystify metaphysics? For Ms. Anum.
Just letting people know that it's accessible to everyone. Okay, I figured out. I got the volume button. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So just letting people know that it's it's something that's accessible to everyone. It's not something that's just for a select few. That it's open to everyone, and it isn't something to be afraid of. That we all have access to it.
Okay. All right. And Miss Dazzle, are you there? Miss Dazzle?
If I may, I think
Sure.
if Miss Judith is not available, Mr.
Water,
Melvin, Mr. Melvin, would you care to
chime in.
yes.
Mr. Melvin, how do we demystify metaphysics?
Abena saving grace, huh? Abena. Good evening, everybody. Metaphysics, I believe, that first be demystified by taking it out of man's container of spirituality. Metaphysics has no location. It is considered to be a place where everything manifests physically. There's no spookism in it. It's just a container of endless possibilities. So whatever man creates within their mind, they have the potential to pull it down from that place we call metaphysics. As simple as I can make it.
Okay. All right. All right. We have others on here. Miss Mulan, Stephanie, anybody want to make a comment? How do we demystify metaphysics? Miss Mulan? Miss Stephanie? Anybody there? Miss Dazzle?
Well, obviously, one way that we demystify metaphysics is by having these opportunities and sharing what we know so that other people can be enlightened. And as the brother said, take the spookism out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, anyone else wants to speak up there, man? I'm gonna put in my 2 cents on this topic. How do we demystify metaphysics? And I think all of your answers were very, very good. As the sister said, taking the spookism out of it. I just think that, when I talk about these types of things on my show, for a lot of us, I feel like for a lot of people of color, we don't see how we can apply this stuff and take it to the streets. It's almost like it's all mystical and heavenly and spiritual, and we haven't been able to explain how we can use it in our everyday lives to make our lives better and more productive. And I think us being able to turn the corner and put that message out there where we can see how we really benefit from learning these different metaphysical tools and understanding this perspective can really empower us where we live and where we are. And so this is why discussions like this are very good and very useful, because they help us to sort out and help us to put together a plan of how we can, restructure this thing and bring it to where it's needed so people can feel, particularly people of color, can feel empowered and not stay in victimhood. So that's just my perspective on that. Does anybody else have any comments on that to answer that question? Miss Aina Mulan, are you there?
I think that kind of really summed it up, because you addressed the fear aspect. If people knew that this was something that could help empower them, maybe they wouldn't be so fearful of it. They might be more interested in, if not fully embracing it, learning more about it and understanding how it can enrich your life.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. Any more comments? All right. All right, so we can go to the next question. The next question is, what is metaphysics? So, Ms. Anum, what is metaphysics to you? What does it mean?
So you have your physical existence, and then you have metaphysics, which I would say it's also part of your physical existence, but it's like a bridge between the physical and the emotional / spiritual as well. So, like, you say something about like spiritual hygiene. We know about physical hygiene, but there's such a thing as spiritual hygiene as well, like taking care of your energy, cleansing your energy, and maintaining your energy. So that's metaphysical. It's dealing with yourself, with your physical being, but also on another level.
Very good. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Ms. Dazzle, are you with us?
She said she's going to text. She'll let me know when she's available to
Okay.
speak.
Okay, great. Mr. Walters, do you want to chime in on what is metaphysics? I mean, you kind of explained it a little bit, but I'd like for you to go in farther if you don't mind.
Sure. Metaphysic, that which we call metaphysics by using our consciousness is the origin of all things that exist. It is the essence of what they call God mind. It is the universe. It is the true world that is not seen in the physical form, that which everything exists from. Metaphysics is, I guess in short, is the all. It is the magical place that people draw everything that they need and want and don't want from it. It is unbiased. It does not, how could I say this? It's a subject. It does not matter what you intended to put out there, what you want to draw from it, what you did not want to draw from it. Its primary function is to create that which is coming from the individuals here on the plane. So this is not a subject. Period.
All right. Very good, Mr. Walters. Thanks for your words. Ms. Stephanie, do you have any comments about what you believe what is metaphysics? You'd like to chime in?
From my understanding, metaphysics is actually the study of reality as well. I mean, it speaks to the fundamental origins of all that is, be it physical and the non-physical.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Miss Mulan, are you here? I see you on the board. Guess not. All right, so I guess I'll chime in. I'll chime in and make way until Miss Dazzle can come in. All right, so I guess the way I would explain metaphysics, meta meaning super, because I figure for a lot of us that go down the rabbit hole, we become meta-human. So it's outside the realm of what is normally physical. It's the study of, or it's the reminder of, that we are spiritual beings and all that encompasses while we're here in this realm. So the study of metaphysical is the study of those outside physics or outside the regular realm and all that it encompasses. And hopefully, as we go down the rabbit hole, we all become meta-human, which means we're more than that, and we recognize that. And so I see it as an acknowledgement of knowing that we're all creators, that we create our reality and we have the power to do so. So if we don't like it, we can uncreate it. So it's empowering. First of all, it's very empowering to know that just the way things are right now, they don't have to stay that way. So we have to bring that message to those who feel like they don't have any hope, to understand that they're creators of their realities and we created by our beliefs. All right. All right, so the next question we have is, why do people fear metaphysics or spirituality? Why are they afraid of it? And we kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's go in deeper with this, family, all right? Why do people fear metaphysics or spirituality? So let's start with Miss Anum again. You know, let's pick on her.
Because they may feel it's all spookism. That it's, you know,
What is spookism?
Spookism, that is something scary, that, oh, that's something that, you know, you see in horror films like The Exorcist or something like that, that it comes from a bad or inherently source, that it's not something that you should be messing with, when in fact we do things to kind of, you know, I want to say almost daily, that are metaphysical, and don't realize it.
Okay, spookism. All right. Anybody else? Mr. Walters, Mr. Melvin. Let's take this a little deeper.
I could chime in really quickly.
Oh, okay, Miss Dazzle, you're here.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thanks for joining us. Yes. Why do people fear metaphysics or spirituality?
It's a learned behavior, especially in the Black and Brown community. Religion was the first form of mysticism that was brought onto the culture. So being told by a rule book, quote unquote, the Bible, that you shouldn't do X, Y, Z, and it's taboo, it's imprinted on them as if, you know, they're going to go to hell or certain things are going to happen to them. So when you have that fear or that lesson in your mind, you kind of steer away until you actually break through the door and you realize that it was all a lie. And for that, that's still an unlearning programming that a lot of people to this day are still unlearning. So first and foremost, it's definitely the learned conditions of religion that people have to unlearn to basically release the false evidence appearing real in their minds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Mr. Walters, you want to chime in on what Ms. Dazzle was saying?
Yes, pretty much the same what you were saying. Agree with her very much. It's a conditioning. That's what it is. It's a conditioning that people have been living up under for so long. And based upon their lack of knowledge in certain areas, what they have been told and what's been passed down through the family and, you know, generation, they believe a lot of these foolish things, you know. So it's mostly it's just coming from a place of ignorance, and ignorant meaning not knowing, not meaning anything negative. These people, they just do not know. And their mind is like, you know, even as adults, our minds are very much like children. You may think that we are advanced because we must be, because we're of a certain age, but our minds are very much like children. And I'll leave it at that.
I want to make a slight comment with you, Mr. Walters. So you were saying that, you know, it's just ignorance, but you have a lot of good people out there that just want to try to do right, and they want to go to heaven, so as to speak. They want to be seen as having favor with God. How do we reconcile that? You know, that you have good people out there that are kind of going down the wrong path. It's like they're not bad, obviously, but what they're espousing or what they're teaching is helping to mislead people. How do we reconcile that? As a melanated people, how do we reconcile that?
Well, just to go back, when I use the word ignorant, again, I'm using it within the proper contents and what it means. It's simply meaning lack of knowledge. That's what it is. And you have a lot of so-called teachers who claim to be knowers of certain craft are just as ignorant as those who they're teaching. You know,
it's true.
So it really, I think that one, it's a new breed of teaching needs to come about, and we have to understand that people have to be reached on the level that they're at. And what I mean by that is that everybody have different levels of understanding certain things. you know, and just know a little bit more about what you're teaching. A quick example is I told a woman one day, friend of mine, how does she see herself? And she said she thought she was a sinner. And we both used to go to the same church. You know, I went to church for a different reason. But anyway, I asked her, she said she thought she was a sinner. She was trying to impress God. So I simply asked her, I said, well, do you know what the word sin mean? Do you know the meaning of it and where it comes from? Which, you know, she said the devil going to hell and everything else. And I said, well, you know, don't take my word for it, but look it up. It's a Sanskrit word. And it simply means miss the mark. It means missing the mark. It has no negative connotation to it at all. It come from I think it's a Sanskrit word, and then it was switched up. So my thing is, again, it's about understanding, having a little bit more knowledge than what you have, and realize this is the whole thing. You say go deeper. The trials and tribulations, for the most part, that you have in your life is what you're creating unconsciously.
Absolutely.
So I'll leave it there.
Okay. Great comments. Great comments. Miss Stephanie, do you want to piggyback on what Mr. Walter said? You have some experience with religions and what they can do.
Yeah, I was thinking about your question, why are people afraid of metaphysics? But I don't know that there's so much fear as there is, as the brother said, really just habitual learning, conditioning. If we can, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but if we can believe that there was a birth of a man through a ghost and God, and some other religious ideas that people have accepted, without so much fear, why is it so hard to put past to imagine something else that is based even more in reality, or in something that makes more sense? I think the fear actually is more political and cultural as we look back historically to the development of religions. And if we look at wars that have been fought around religious ideas, I think it comes down more to that than it is of putting our minds outside of the physical realm and understanding, or even coming about with ideas of how we got here and why we're here. So, that was just a thought that came to mind. So I think it's a matter of re-educating people.
It's so on point. It is political.
Yeah, and recentering people's thoughts about, our existence, centering that more so within themselves first and foremost, as opposed to a deity outside of oneself, or even the state, or the nation. Showing people the benefit of coming back to the self and reaching out from there to understand our connection to the earth and our connection to the universe beyond that. So.
That's true. Mr. Walter, you gonna make a comment about what Miss Stephanie was saying?
Yeah. She just had me go, I didn't know I was still on the mic. Sorry about that. But her statement is so true. It was this whole thing that we call religion was sprung upon us as a means of controlling us.
Absolutely.
It was political. I mean, you have lawyers in play here. You have, these were scientists. These were learned people who put this nonsense together. And I'm not an atheist. People say, what am I saying? I'm an agnostic. And people don't know what a Gnostic is, then I leave them with that. I say do some research. But our thing is this, like I said earlier, it's about gathering knowledge, and I'm not knocking what people chose to believe. I'm just saying, listen, you cannot want to get out of a state of bondage physically and yet stay in bondage mentally. There is no savior coming to save you except yourself. Now, people say, well, how can you prove that? It's simple. Show me where it actually happened outside of the book that was given to us to oppress us. And when Steph spoke about, she said something else, and I said, yes, our Savior story, the Savior story that was given to us, come from the resurrection story of Asar Aset, which is an ancient Egyptian story. So you go back and you look at that and you see how they pimped a lot of our information, and then they use it, twisted it to enslave us. you know?
I say to people all the time, Mr. Walters, you know about the Christ and you don't know about Horus.
Yes,
You know about the Christ, but you don't know who Horus is.
yes.
And
And
so,
if you don't know I mean, people talk about the laws of Moses. Well, where did Moses get the laws from? I mean, they run parallel with the 42 laws of Ma'at.
right.
So, you know, you're lost. And our people didn't teach religion. We dealt with science, and we used metaphors and theories to help people understand it. That's it.
That's true. That's true. Very, very good comments about that. Thank you, Mr. Melvin and Miss Stephanie. Very good comments. Anyone else want to chime in again on that? I think.
Chime in one quick second.
Sure.
I'd like to piggyback off what both Melvin and Steph said. With all the learned behavior, we were also taught not to question things. And that's what kept us or keeps a lot of us still in the bondage. So to go out and explore, the thought of just go study it. Sometimes people are mentally lazy because they were told not to go reach for more or to debunk certain things. So it's still a learned behavior that has to be unlearned. But that was all I wanted to add in there.
Great comments, Miss Dazzle. Great comments. Anybody else? Miss, I don't see it. Oh, she left. I don't see her. All right. Yes.
I was just going to say that,
Sure.
you know, going back to the fear and the unlearning, unlearning like everything that you were ever taught. I mean, that was kind of like the process for me. And when I was journeying, when I was starting on my journey, like never feeling any condemnation or any sense of condemnation, because like if I have the question, the divine put the question in me. So I think that also when we look at metaphysics, we also see freedom, you know, and freedom from fear, and being able to question and look at these things and see that there is no harm, and that these are also very ancient practices as well.
Very good. Absolutely. Great comments from everybody. Great comments from everybody on that question. All right. So next question. Do you think there is a difference between how spirituality is viewed in the Black communities versus non-Black communities? Is there a difference between how spirituality is viewed in the Black communities versus non-Black communities?
I'm going to say hell yes.
Okay. Pretty
And the reason being, and I just read this on a group that I'm on Facebook, the non-Black communities, or I'd like to say the palm-colored people sometimes, they view it as like this mystical or fairy type thing that kind of is beautiful and unbiased and nurturing and loving and whatever, whereas some spiritualists in the Black community view this as demonic and like there's going to be backlash or some type of negative connotation. And it's like, if you truly look at the color of the skin or whatever, we're not Black. You can't, we're not pitch black. So that right there has to be an unlearned thing. And then on their hand, they're not white or completely pure because they learned from us. We were the spiritual beings before everything. It even says it in the text, you know. Jesus or Jesus was a, you know, copper-colored, coily-haired being. So, I mean, it's definitely viewed differently. In the non-Black community, they know more, they're taught more, whereas the melanated community, they kind of, I want to say, redact information and keep us in the fear-based knowledge realm. So yeah, unless you go out and study or you go out and educate self, then you're gonna continue needlessly be in bondage. But yes, hell yes to the answer.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. You're right. Absolutely. Mr. Melvin, any comments on what Ms. Dazzle said?
I feel like I'm back in college. Yeah, I agree with her. You know, what she's saying is definitely true. You know, and we're talking about mental conditioning. You know, you got to remember that when this stuff was given to us, first of all, we could not even read. Our people couldn't read the book. We didn't understand the language. So that needs to be, you know, really understood. So we had no type of knowledge of what the heck it is that we were reading. It was told to us. This is what this means. This is what that means. And in most cases, the part that was read to us and what we were supposed to follow, it was material of being a subservient. You know, it was, you know, you were inadequate, you were ugly, you were dark, you were burnt by God, you know, you all these negative things. And so this stuff got sealed into the minds of the people and they pass it on. Now, you know, white folks or whoever, you know, or even Muslims and stuff, which is nothing but a spinoff of ancient Egyptian belief system. They have a different outtake on life than it comes to us. So, you know, and I'm not using this as an excuse. I'm saying when you look at us as a people, find another race of people who have been ostracized and treated in the way that we have been treated for so long. It's still going on today with it, you know? So we look at the book as something that's going to save us. That's how we've been taught, as a something that can empower us to save ourselves. So yes, you know, I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Any more, Ms. Steph, any comments?
Yeah, I have to agree with Brother Melvin. You know, it's interesting when you think about metaphysical thought, metaphysical thinking, you know, it's considered a branch of philosophy. Human beings have been searching, you know, for thousands and thousands of years. I mean, I think it's just a natural part of our existence to understand, to want to understand and order our universe, you know, to want to know how we got here, why we're here, and what we're supposed to do here. You know, and unfortunately, if you look at patterns within different communities, some of that gets translated through our actual experience, you know, and as Brother Melvin is saying, because of the unique experience of African people in this country, you know, the way we translate metaphysical thinking is, you know, not only is it historical, as he suggested, being handed down to us through the Bible, but it becomes a means of trying to understand how we got in this position, you know, and what is it going to take to deliver us. You know, that word was very much a part of our experience, deliverance, and it still remains. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. But when we start to educate ourselves into what our existence, you know, really stems from, and seeing ourselves as spirits, you know, as within these bodies, you know, I think it begins to open up something altogether different. But we're so trapped in this patterned way of thinking that it's very difficult to get us off of that track and onto something, even at the doorway of something different. So yeah, I have to agree. You know, there's definitely a difference in the way we see metaphysical thought in our communities, and it's still a hindrance. We're hampered. We're very hampered.
Yes, you made some very good points, because we basically, I mean, we see it through the lens of oppression, through the psychological lens of oppression, and that's how we see it. Our focus is on trying to get out of here, get out of here and get to heaven, because we don't like where it is right here. We don't see ourselves as being able to create our realities. So we want to run and go into the next life, and hopefully things will be better. And until that changes, we're not incentivized to see a need to learn about this stuff, because first of all, we're halfway afraid. We're afraid that we're offending God, the God that has been put on us, that's been fed to us. And it just causes a lot of psychological problems. It causes a lot of issues. So we don't see a need to learn this stuff. And this is very different from our non-white counterparts who already see themselves as being empowered down here. So of course they see their connection to source that way. So very good comments, family. Anybody else want to say anything else before we go to the next question?
Yeah, I want to add something, because I was when you first posed the question, I started thinking about other groups, outside of Christian groups, thinking about Asar Set, Hebrew Israelites, and some of these groups that have come out of the Black community, and even looking at some of those groups and having had personal experience with them, that metaphysical thought, even if it goes beyond the Christian thought, often becomes a control mechanism, and it's unfortunate, but it just seems to really boil down to serving the same purpose, and coming out of the same thinking.
Very, 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 very powerful. Very powerful. Any more?
Hi.
Go ahead, Ms. Dazzle.
I feel like as parents or elders, we should also try to teach the community that we shouldn't force feed religion onto our children or the future. We should have them choose what they want. And I feel like that's the issue with religion right now too, in the melanated community, because I don't see that happening the same in the non-melanated community. They actually give them choices, whereas we don't. It's do as I say, not as I do. So those are my last words.
Okay, great. Okay.
I mean, it's easy to kind of do that when you're already coming from the standpoint of you're already empowered. So you don't need like this crutch or this extra thing, which, it's really unfortunate how in our communities, it can be something that's so empowering, but in many ways, it's just very disempowering. One of the most powerful things about us is our spiritual legacy, but the way it is just, disseminated now, it just seems very watered down and weak. And yeah, I mean, I will say, I remember the years ago going to this church in Brooklyn, and they were fasting with like Queen of Fua's program, and they also did this event every year called the Ma'afa, to commemorate the transatlantic enslavement period. And this particular year, they did fire walking. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a church? So there was a brother who was facilitating a fire walking workshop, and I said, this is empowerment. This is empowerment. This is not being afraid to move forward. This is being progressive as opposed to just this, I don't even know, just this very disempowering narrative that's been forcing us over and over and over again.
Yes, yes. Great comments. Yes, I mean, this is the psychological effects of post-traumatic slave syndrome. It's what it is. It coincides with our lack of historical knowledge that many of us in our communities don't know. And it seems like having a knowledge of that helps us to explore other disciplines that we need to know that can help us to see things a little bit differently. So it seems to me those two coincide, to be honest. But on to the next question. And we kind of answered it a little bit, but we can delve farther into it. Do people of color need to know this stuff or not? And if so, why or why not? Ms. Abena, you want to start off with this one?
Oh boy.
I'll read it again.
So for me, I'm all about empowerment. I'm all about us changing the narratives. All about us being able to move forward. Like the thinking has to change. Um, like for example, when you hear about, okay, we're having another anti-gun rally, what does that do? Where we're having another Stop the Violence rally, what does that do? Where is the trauma healing workshops? Where's the
Exactly.
meditation?
Very good point.
Where is the work that's being done to shift your
Yeah,
mind?
very good point.
You know, where is that? That is, I feel that's what's missing. Instead of hearing the same recycled things over and over again, the narrative has to shift to understanding your own inner personal power. It doesn't matter your outer circumstances, but we need to be empowered. I don't care whether you call it metaphysics or whatever, as long as it changes your mind, helps your mind to shift out of this old weary paradigm into something new.
Very, very good point. Very good point. Mr. Walters, Melvin, Mr. Melvin. Oh, is he there?
Yeah, ditto to what
Oh, okay.
happened. Yeah. It's. I mean, that's really the bottom line. I mean, this system is not going to tell you how to make it. This system is not going to give you anything good, wonderful about yourself. This system is not going to give you the information that you need to elevate yourself. Financial literacy, you're not going to get it from the system. How to come together and be productive. You're not going to get none of that from the system, because the system needs you in the state of stupidity in which they hope you stay in, because that keeps them in power. So even the idea that we need to, wait for a whole bunch of our people to come together so that we can jump on this boat of knowledge and free ourselves from the madness,
Doesn't work that
that's an
way.
illusion. That's an illusion within itself. So I think that, again, ditto to everything that Abena said. I believe that what's going to need to happen is that you have to gather the collective mind of people who think and who are acting in that manner, and just move forward and just pick up a few as you go along, and change them. Other than that, man, everything else is just wishful thinking, like looking for some entity to come down from the sky and save you on a white horse. Period.
That's not coming. Very good points. Very good points. Miss Stephanie, you have any comments about what Mr. Melvin said?
Just to kind of modify that, I would just shift that and say it's already inside you. And we need to have programs or, something that helps to remind people, that it is already inside of you. I think, we need to do that inner work, which I feel that of course we flee from, but remembering that it's within us. And that's what metaphysical practices help to do. I feel they help with that mind shifting. They help with that paradigm shifting when when you're doing something different. You're changing your brain, you're changing your thinking. So I think you know um the savior thing, you are the savior. Sometimes when people talk about saving your soul, it's like, I want to ask, do you even know what color your soul is? What does your soul look like? What are you doing? What are you doing to be in touch with it? Are you meditating? Are you journaling? Are you getting to know that inner part of you? So that was just my modification.
Very
And if
good.
I may, just real quick, can I just
Sure.
piggyback what happened is, sorry to
Absolutely.
the sister, sorry to the sister you called upon. I'll be real quick.
No, no problem.
It's true, like I'm 62 and I have certain health issues and stuff, right, with the site. But yet and still, I started a non-for-profit organization. I'm a 501c3 at the age of 62. Okay, charitable. But this, even you look at the story in scripture. We remember the story of scripture of the woman who had the issue of blood. I think it was 7 years, whatever it was. And she had said to herself, she said, if I could just touch the hem, listen, if I could just touch the hem of Jesus' gown, she believed that she would be healed, you know? And so, she walked through the crowd. That's the song Alabaster Box. But anyway, she walked through the crowd, and when she touched the hem of his garment, He didn't know who it was, but he said, who touched my hem, who touched my garment? And the woman said it was me. And then he said, it is by your faith that you were healed. Not because you believe in me. It is by your faith. You believe that if you touch me, that there will be a transformation in your life. So if I said, you know what, I got issue with my eyesight or whatever. If I don't believe that if I touch this individual here, anything's going to happen. You are the source. We are the source. We are the power. It's just a lack of knowledge of how this thing works that we need to really get into so that we can use it further. That's all I want to say.
Outstanding.
I wanted to touch upon, I think that was a very powerful statement there. But I can't help but think about, what I see actually happening around me and what I've been seeing, in my little lifetime, and I think Brother Melvin is touching on this, and so does Sister Abena, that before we can begin to transform ourselves metaphysically, we have to start with the physical, and what I hear you all saying is that through our healing, seeking our healing, is where we begin to elevate ourselves, even spiritually. I look at sisters, even brothers, over the past several decades, we've been coming more and more into ourselves as natural beings. We see more sisters now walking around with their natural hair, and you see veganism and vegetarianism has grown, enormously. People who were never concerned about their health and eating healthy and exercising are now moving gradually into that. So I think that there is a transformation that is happening and has been happening, on this planet for quite some time. It's just very slow moving, but I just really, what I observe is that it does have to come through the physical. So as we become closer to ourselves, as I said before, shifting the focus back to us, and getting more in touch with this physical body first and connecting it to the earth and what is natural for us, then we begin to transform that and take it higher, to who we are as spiritual beings. And I have the faith and the belief that is happening, and it's going to continue to happen. Us as human beings have been evolving, for thousands of years, and that process is intrinsic, and I believe it's going to continue. And the more we know, the more we share, we help that process along. It's quite amazing.
Ashe.
She just touched on one of the questions that I was going to ask. Is there a resurgence of spirituality now? And I believe that's happening around the world, to be honest. But we can put that out there. Is there? So Miss Stephanie just touched on that a little bit. Is there a resurgence of spirituality now? Miss Abena, is there a resurgence of it now?
Boy, here we go. Yeah, because I would say, I was 7, 8 years old, and I had questions like, some things just didn't make sense to me. Some things just didn't resonate with me. So to see now what's happening, it's amazing. I said a few years ago, as Melvin said, this society is not interested in you improving yourselves unless they can find a way to monetize it. So, so now, of course, you see all these commercials that are talking about yoga. You have an advertisement for an app called Calm. I'm like, wow, okay, so there's that capitalistic aspect in, well, we'll promote this now because now we can make some money off of it. Like now we can create a market for it. But yet and still, the fact that this is out there as opposed to anything else, it's a benefit. If it gets more people meditating, fine.
Absolutely. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. But you know, for our people, it's definitely amazing to see. Some people may say, "Oh, this is prophetic," and like, yeah, okay, you can say that, but the number of people who are looking to change their lives, and how can you say that the way they're changing their lives is bad?
It's true. That's true. Ms. Dazzle, you have any comments about?
Yes. I wanted to chime back on the color meters, yes, but to piggyback off what Abena just said too.
You sound a little muffled. You sound a little muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you clear. Yep.
So yes, I wanted to piggyback off what Abena was saying and to go back to do the people of color need this? Definitely, but the first thing and foremost, we need to separate the ego from all of this mysticism, because ego is what's keeping us in bondage or keeping our people in bondage, especially those who feel enlightened or have certain titles in the spiritual world, and they feel like sometimes they can't teach because someone's of a lesser understanding than them. So we have to eliminate the ego to truly help elevate our people, because it's the flashy things that, you know, twinkle that make people want to get attracted to it. And to go back to what Abena says, owning a crystal shop, a lot of other people are diving into the, you know, crystals. Oh, let me have this, and let me, you know, I could sell it, I could do whatever this person does or whatever. They're only seeing the dollar signs. They're not seeing the true essence and the healing power of it. And it boggles me, because I got into crystals because of the true healing power of it. But now you have people calling rose quartz pink quartz, or, you know, they have like, they just come up with fake names for certain things, and they're selling fake crystals and turning glass into crystals and whatever, and they're taking sometimes the power away of the true healing. So we definitely kind of have to remove some of this capitalisticness from the healing and go back to where we kind of, and yes, this is me, a business owner saying this, kind of go back to the bartering, or the understanding and the awareness for the community, so we could truly tap into the essence of this. Because when you put a dollar or a margin on it, people kind of diminish it, or they try to negotiate with it, and you can't negotiate health. So that's my 2 cents.
Outstanding comments. Anybody else? Outstanding. And I just want to piggyback on with
That is true. You can't negotiate that.
mm-hmm.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Stephanie, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, you know, it's a very interesting thought, because that has been the European, I see that as the European legacy on this planet. You know, controlling resources and monetizing things to their own advantage. I think it's a very important and really quite a critical idea, where people of African descent could depart dramatically from European thinking and regain some power, you know, as a collective, if we have the ability to step outside of this system to some degree and begin to share and work with each other in a whole new way. It's a tall order, a very tall order. I can't conceive, you know, how we go about that without being willing to sacrifice some parts of ourselves. But I encourage business owners like the sisters to you know, wrap their minds around that and come up with it, because I think there's a great deal of power, you know, if we can figure out how to do that, you know, be more cooperative with one another, be, you know, and be willing to share, and maybe, like you said, bartering reusing and reducing and reselling things at a discount. Maybe those are some ways we can accomplish that. But it's because what ends up happening is things become elitist, and people become removed from these resources and these things that can empower us. So it's a big thing. Yeah.
I'd like to also add to that too, that this Melanated Expo that Abena and I have started and created, it's definitely a caveat to what we are all talking about here today. And we're hoping that we could actually bring a collective to spread this and probably go nationwide, because our goal first and foremost is just to help and educate the community without it being a scary place. It has to be a safe place for you to feel comfortable to learn about this stuff, to cultivate this stuff, to be this stuff. So yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder about our event. Because I was really, kind of getting into the topic. But also, yeah, because we do need safe spaces. We really do need safe spaces. I cannot tell you, in the past, I want to say at least year and a half, I have met people who look like me. Well, actually, lots of them I haven't even met in person yet. But you know, like one brother I met who had a near-death experience, who actually died and had like an afterlife experience, or people I know who talk about galactic journeys or angels and auras and chakra healing, color healing, and all of that stuff. That's not for people outside of our community. There are people in our community who not only have an interest in that, but have like direct experiences in that. And we need to have spaces where they can share that.
Can
We
reveal
need to let people,
themselves.
yeah. So it's like, this is your tribe. So come to our event on June 18th and find your tribe, because yes, we do need safe spaces. It's essential, because the people are experiencing things, and who do they talk to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a very good point you've made, Abena, about the fact of having a safe space. Because again, how do we incentivize our people to explore these topics in this perspective so that they can find healing, right? Because in our community, we need healing and we need a different perspective, one that wasn't given to us. And the ones who gave it to us weren't looking out for our best interests in the first place. So I believe this is how we reconnect to that and find ourselves again. You know what I'm saying? And find ourselves again. So yes, this is groundbreaking, and it's really needed. It's really needed. Next question. What are some of the stigmas that—
I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
Sure.
I just, on that note, Brother Terris, is this something that is going to be recurring? Because I know, you and I talked about how there are groups of European communities who get together and do these things on a regular basis, and, developing that relevancy, within our community amongst us. I think, we have a golden opportunity here to do something like that, So I was just wondering, is this something that's going to continue?
Let me address that, Miss
Sure.
Stephanie. And yes, I want your contact information as well. So I don't think you can see my background. I think it's reversed, but yes, myself and Judith we are coordinating the June 18th Melanated Soul Expo, which is happening in the Bronx. And this has been something that we've been talking about doing for a while. And actually this last year, Judith pushed me and told me we're doing it this year. And because I'm not sure where you're located, but here in New York, there's something called the New Life Expo. There's also something like the Awaken Fair, these holistic expos in the New York, New Jersey area. And yeah, they're great. Oh, that's nice. Oh, nice statues, nice beads. Oh, there's nobody here who looks like me. But there's very few people who look like me. And so being connected with the holistic community as we are said, we need to create a safe space for these people who come up to us and say, since I've been younger, I've been able to hear people who aren't there or see things that other people don't see. You know, people who've had these experiences, people who are mediums who leave their bodies, who say, I went to sleep and I was on another planet. Or 1 minute I was here, the next minute I wasn't here. Or I'm walking down the street and I see things no one else can see. You know, this is a reality for some of our people, you know, having these experiences, and those who are interested in holistic healing and metaphysics and things like that. So we need to create a safe space for us, for people who look like us, who can share these experiences, for people who can say, I'm really interested in crystals, I'm really interested in astrology and, you know, other things without fear of being judged or condemned. So we want to create something where for like half a day, people can look around and be immersed in an atmosphere of people who are also interested in these things and who look like them. So we want to create this opportunity as a safe space and also a nourishing space, and letting people know you're not alone. You're not by yourself. So yes, it is very important.
It's very important. Any more comments, Mr. Walters? He's there.
Just on the part of refining spirituality, I don't think that we have to fight. I don't think it went nowhere. I just think that we've been so polluted with another culture's concept and idea of what reality is supposed to be. That we ain't got to rediscover who we are or what we are. We just need to get rid of their nonsense and we'd be okay.
Pretty much. No. Yeah, pretty much. Yes, you know, and yeah, we have to move in that regard. Anybody else? Any more comments?
Yeah, you know, I just want to say that community is important. Community is very important. Since I've been on social media, it's been like opening up a whole other world. I mean, for myself, you know, knowing that there are things that I'm interested in, and it's like, hey, I'm interested in that too. You know, I'm in Phoenix, but you know, I can dialogue with someone, you know, in another state about the same things that I'm interested in. So I know you mentioned earlier about consciousness and a renewed interest in spirituality. I think it's a case of a shift in planetary. I think it's a planetary shift. You know, this wave of consciousness and awareness is not just sweeping the countries, sweeping the whole planet, you know,
Yes.
and it's definitely, you know, when I'm online, I see somebody in another country talking about some of these things, I'm like, wow, you know, and it seems to be moving at a very fast pace. You notice people are connecting a lot more, a lot faster. Um, Things are seeming to align a lot faster. So we're definitely in alignment, I would say.
Yes, there are definitely some changes going on. There's much more interest probably than there's ever been and it's more, I mean, you can feel it, and that's good. That's good. All right, so the next question was, what are some of the stigmas that our community faces when it comes to metaphysics? And we kind of touched on that in some of your comments, but let's see if we can go in different, like what are some of the stigmas with it? I think some of you guys said the spookism, like I think Abena said spookism, and there were some other comments about it. But what are some of the other stigmas besides we're going to burn in hell? It's of the occult and this and that has held us back from embracing this perspective. Just going farther. Abena, you have any more to say about that?
I feel like I'm back in college. I encountered someone who said that as a child they'd had prophetic experiences, other, I wouldn't say otherworldly, but being able to see beyond the veil. This person was saying, you know, as a child they could see things other people couldn't see. They could hear things. They would get messages. So when you're like 7, 6, 7, 8 years old and this is happening to you, what do? They were being told it's bad to shut it down. And just think of, as they got older, they had to do a lot of unlearning and understanding that this was not a curse, because they had to like repress this natural divine ability that they incarnated here with, because people didn't understand it, because they were afraid of it. And so it's something like I like to pose, a question I like to pose to people. But if someone is born with it, if someone is born clairvoyant, if someone is born clairaudient, what do you do with them? We can put them in the church, but it's not, instead of repressing it, it's to be shared. It's to be shared. It's to be spread and expand upon. It's their gift. It's not for your shame. Their gift is for the world. And so when we encounter like children or whatever, because the children coming up now, that's the whole the thing. They're coming with gifts and abilities, and we need to not let them feel ashamed or embarrassed, and nurture it and encourage it gently, but just let them know that they're not bad or evil or anything like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have any comments about this? Stigmas that our community faces when it comes to metaphysics? Hello, are you there?
Who, me?
Miss Dazzle, please.
I agree with what Abena said. To chime a little bit more on what she said too, like and we kind of need to educate more in the mental health of melanated community, but also like the psychic ability that our children have, and not throwing them into church, but maybe having a spiritual teaching center for children. That would be cool, to help children who see spirits, or children who can hear things, or whatever, to cultivate it, to embrace it and not demonize them or put them on psychotics or whatever, because children on the spectrum in the non-melanated community are considered what do they call them, star children or something.
Star
seeds, indigo children, crystal
indigo
children.
Yeah.
They call them that, and those are children on the spectrum from the non-melanated community, but yet in the melanated community, you have ADD, or you have a learning disorder, or you have this, or you have that, when we all know you can't learn from a box. And literally these schools are designed and shaped into a box. Think about it. A building is a box. It doesn't have a pointed roof. So that chaotic energy is stagnant in that space. So, but you give these other children, a beautiful type of school. You encourage them. So we have to change our narrative. We have to change our language. We have to explain this. And I think it starts with not only the families of the melanated community, but maybe even educating the pastors or whatever to probably tone down their, we're going to beat you into submission of learning this and that or whatever, and maybe embrace, if they have to go the religious route, embrace the child's gifts and don't call them a burden, and don't call it demonic or anything. Stop labeling things you don't understand something that is demonic. Just because you don't understand it, it's not for you to understand, but to embrace and empower.
You know what, honestly, Miss Dazzle, I don't know if I see them doing that if their beliefs are all in a different direction. If their beliefs are all skewed, I don't see how they're going to do that. I think the onus is on those of us that are more evolved in our communities, that we have to stand up and be bigger and be more proactive and making and helping this to be more of a priority in our lives and more of a factor in our lives.
I agree. It's not in their benefit to educate their people. I know.
Right.
I'm just passionately ambitious there.
We
I
we really
mean,
all want to see change. We desperately want to see change. I feel you. And
mhm.
I think that we have so many things to change. It's like there's levels, and we just have trouble just accepting some very basic things here on earth. The desire to conform, to be a part of the group, is I think a large part of why religion has survived for so long. You know, um, you know, we and just our children, wanting to be accepted. They give up parts of themselves from the time they enter school, and then it doesn't help that they don't have adults at home who are willing to embrace them and love them through that. And even sometimes when they do, the pressure outside of the home is so strong, that it becomes difficult for them just to even learn to accept themselves, let alone what is happening outside of themselves. So I think the first and foremost, we have to be models. We have to be better examples, wherever our walk takes us, of being loving to ourselves, being loving to our children, and being loving to those around us, and then bringing that energy into, like I said, wherever we walk, and having the strength to stand up and be who we are. I can't see it happening any other way, than by that. And then that has a ripple effect, like I said, over the past 20 years, I see so many more women of African descent wearing their natural hair. To me, that has just been huge, and that's a matter of self-acceptance. It's a step in the right direction. And, we have to build upon that. Now we know that there are different ways of learning, different ways, that our children's brains are formed. We call it putting them on the spectrum, but, you think back 50, 40 years, they lumped our kids into LD classes, and, and that was it. And something was wrong with them, and they were left there to stew in these very negative environments. So, gradually these things are changing. We still have ways to go, but we have to be models of this and learn how to accept ourselves first and foremost.
Very, very powerful comments from Stephanie. And I just want to piggyback on what she says. Yeah, basically, we need to do a better job of creating this type of culture within our communities. And you guys have certainly moved the needle towards doing that by having this expo. And hopefully it keeps going, and hopefully it keeps going throughout the country, because what you're doing is these are the beginning steps to help to create a culture that says that this type of thinking or perspective is appropriate and powerful and can help us to change our lives. So we have to ask ourselves in our community, what type of culture are we creating? Since we know as metaphysical people, we know that we create our culture, then we have to educate others so that then they will be incentivized to study and learn further. So we have to be an example, and we have to talk about it and teach it where we live. So this is a great meeting here tonight. So what are our final thoughts? Final thoughts from everybody.
So let me talk about the expo. So
Yes.
again, so again, I don't know why. I mean, to me, it's reverse, but I don't know if you see it the right way. So June 18th, the Melanated Soul Expo. And funny thing about June 18th is when we were looking at the date, we said, okay, what's the day closest to the solstice? Because we pay attention to stuff like that. Season changes. What's the day closest, the Saturday closest to the solstice? What planets are in retrograde? Is Mercury in retrograde? So once we saw that from an astrological standpoint, we were good. It was later we were like, oh shoot, that's Juneteenth Saturday. So that's really profound. So I definitely see that as a divine providence that we are having this event, because we're talking about metaphysics. We're talking about our spiritual legacy on a day that was designated to celebrate celebrate our release from physical bondage. But however the ancestors work, I'm in alignment and gratitude for that. So it's going to be at Sobro Social in the Bronx. And again, all are welcome. It is a safe space for melanated people to come and talk and learn about angels, auras, chakras, color healing, energy healing, galactic energies, Reiki, all of that. We have vendor space. We will have speakers, and we're going to have a panel discussion called which way do I go? And Mr. Terris we've asked him to moderate that panel discussion. So very grateful for that. It's called Which Way Do I Go? And, we're expecting people to come with their questions. Like one question I see on social media a lot is, I was raised in the church. I was raised this way, but now I have questions. I want to look at this thing, but I'm scared. I want to try to explore other things. So we want people to attend and know you're safe. This is a safe space for us, and these are things that we are very, very passionate about. And we do feel that there's a very healing aspect to this as well.
Absolutely.
So we will also have vendors, a fantastic marketplace with vendors, and we will have healers who will be offering holistic healing wellness services. So we're looking for more vendors. We do have tickets. We are looking for more vendors, and we're looking for sponsors as well to get your products in front of the growing and expanding melanated holistic consumer.
Okay, great. Miss Dazzle, do you have any comments about this? Because I know you're a co-sponsor of this event. Anything you want to say?
Abena said it all, but I did put a trigger behind her after constantly doing other expos with non-melanated people and feeling like, okay, this is too much fantasy and not reality. So this is definitely going to be a more in your face, but gentle, of course, expo where you feel safe, you feel community, you feel like this feels familiar. This is not weird. I don't feel like I have to hide it under the covers, and worry about, my sleep paralysis. I'll understand that. I'll figure things out. So yes, this is definitely something that I feel should have been started years ago, but we were the people chosen to do this. So I just can't wait. This is going to be amazing.
Outstanding. Mr. Melvin, good to see you.
Yes, I just want to say to everybody that just always remember that you are the facilitator of thoughts. There is you, which is the facilitator, and then there is the thoughts and everything else followed behind that. And if you can grasp that concept, you can cancel out a lot of things in your life and create a lot of things.
Ms. Stephanie,
I
you have
think,
any final comments?
yeah, I think what Brother has said is, you know, a jewel, jewel piece of information that a lot of us don't know. And I think if we could bring, you know, take those people that are coming out on June 18th, you know, and have them come into forums like this, you know, where we get up close and we get personal and we can start to share ideas about that contribute to our healing, you know, that address where we've been as a people, you know, and with this kind of intimacy, I think that, you know, I would love to see that continue. You know, what it makes me think about is the Million Man March. I don't know, I'm probably dating myself, but, you know, when they had the Million Man March, there were breakout groups that came from that in different communities around the country. You know, unfortunately, they didn't to continue, but there was an attempt. And from what I understand, there were some really positive things that were being shared. And I know that, like we talked about here, our healing is the key. So, you know, we can bring healers in, we can help heal each other, you know, by sharing knowledge. I've had that experience in my life recently, the past few years, you know, putting myself in the company of people who know and who can have been able to hold me accountable and sharing what they know, different perspectives, you know. So so, you know, I think that these kinds of platforms, these kinds of meetings hold so much potential for us. And I can think of people that I can invite to this, you know, to enlighten, continue to share. And I'm sure they have people they can invite. So, you know, we could see a Zoom call that grow exponentially where we get to talk about these things, you know, as a group and see what it can produce, you know, what it can create, who it can heal, who it can touch, you know.
Outstanding comments. Outstanding comments.
Miss Stephanie, where are you located?
Philadelphia. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I'm out of Philadelphia.
Well, you know, I don't know what it is about Pennsylvania lately, but I have been meeting like so many people out of Philadelphia. Um, about 2 weeks ago, I have a virtual holistic series on Zoom called Transformation Thursday, and last Thursday it was an iridologist sister from the Poconos, and last night I had a sister who does wellness products, and she's out of Philly. And I'm like, what, you know, do I need to make a trip down 95? What's going on down there? So, you know, so I'm very grateful for that. So I'm putting my contact information in the chat because I would definitely love to see you there. Your work.
Oh, she'll be there. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Follow Brother Strength. Follow Brother Strength.
Okay. Mr. Terris, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I did earlier. Sure. As I said earlier, I'm the host of the Know Your Right show, Spirituality, A New Perspective on Blog Talk. I come on once a month and I talk about all things spiritual. The whole basis of my show was to help to explain to the world what goes on metaphysically and why we need to understand these tools to make our lives better. To be better in our relationships, to be better and to raise our vibrational frequencies. So that's the basic gist of my show. I interview a lot of metaphysical people. I teach topics primarily from a psycho-spiritual perspective. And I've been studying this stuff for around 25 years. And I've had some success on the show in terms of connection records, having the most connection records in their history of the network and everything. And so that's what I've been doing for the last it'll be 3 years in August since I started, which I was referred by a close friend.
You said 33 years?
No, 25 years.
Oh, okay.
25 years I've been studying, you know, spirituality and all these things. I came out of the church like many of us. And that's my whole thing. My whole thing is very similar to you, Abena. to help connect people and to educate people on why they need to know this stuff. So that's the basic of my show, Spirituality, A New Perspective.
Thank you. I mean, there are no accidents. I don't know if if I learned about it from Mr. Eugene or what, but I
Mr.
remember
Eugene is
like,
brilliant.
oh yes, yes, yes. I really wish that he could be in attendance because I really want to.
I invited him tonight. I thought he was going to log in, so I told him about it.
Yeah, I saw. He actually sent me a message on Instagram, said, I heard you're going to be having a show today. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so this is really good. I can't wait to June 18th. It should be a lot of fun. Great vibe. I'm sure it's going to be great energy out there and everything, and a lot of healing and learning and connecting with like-minded people. So this is great. Looking forward to it. And these Zoom calls are great also.
Oh, so you're getting used to it now.
I wouldn't say that, but we made it so far. We made it tonight.
Yes.
We made it. So I trust that it'll get easier. But we made it.
Miss Stephanie, feel free to send me your email address or send me a friend request on Facebook as well.
I will.
Maybe we could have these on Clubhouse as well, make the conversation larger. I don't know.
Sure, that's more to learn, but sure. I'm struggling enough with Zoom, it looks like. But anyway, why not?
Clubhouse is straightforward, but that's gonna be another learning lesson. But when Steph mentioned earlier, can we do more of this? I feel like maybe we should have a Melanated Soul Clubhouse, you know, something so where the diaspora can, you know, really tap into everything, and we can have it geared towards certain topics or whatever. So
Absolutely.
you know, the conversation doesn't go all over the place. So maybe we could start that very soon. We'll
That's
see
a
where
great idea. That's a great
where
idea.
this goes.
Miss Stephanie would love to help you with that project.
I sure would. Sure would.
Please, we would need this. Yes, our email is there. We'll in the chat. Please, you know, reach out.
And if you know of any other vendors or anyone who might be interested, I put my Facebook, my personal profile is there, and you can email melanatedsoulexpo@gmail.com and go on Instagram, Melanated Soul Expo Instagram.
Okay. All right. So we'll be on the lookout. We got almost 2 months. A little less than that, but okay.
Okay.
So this was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I
Let me
also
just,
put my email. I put my email in the chat as well.
and I'm capturing it now. Okay. Okay. I guess that's all right. I want to thank you, Mr. Terris, for this. I really am grateful for this. Thank you for allowing us to share the expo and just to share our thoughts as well.
Absolutely. This was fun. We gotta do this again. It's needed. So this is great. It's great. It's just
Judith didn't get to introduce herself in the beginning.
I thought
I did read her bio.
Yeah, he read your bio, but you didn't get a chance to say who you are.
Okay. I'm Judith, owner of Rock Collage. I stumbled upon Abena, I guess, in 2014, and she actually helped propel my drive to really take rock collage to the next level. I met her, well, I did an event with her in the basement of a church, ironically enough. And it was very small, very tight quarters, but it actually invigorated me, very intimate. It actually invigorated me to actually establish the business, not make it a hobby, and truly touch more and more people, because healing is not a one size fits all. And that's been my motto, that's been my aspiration and my go-to, because healing, everyone's going through their own stuff. So that's what rock collage basically means. There's crystals that are for different things and different healing things, and you don't have to go to the same 5 that everyone keeps mentioning or whatever. And I learned to work and heal myself. Healers constantly are reinventing and healing themselves, so I work on helping others to understand that as well. So that's my whole gist. I am a Reiki master, but I don't like calling myself a master because I'm still learning. There's still a lot out there to learn. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
And her shop is on, what street is it? It's a major street in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Cedar Lane, 364 Cedar Lane, Teaneck.
Okay.
Same, my Instagram is Rock Collage. I am the sole owner. I manage everything currently. I answer my DMs. I'm very interactive. I'm here for the community. I don't think I'm bigger than anything, but yeah, this is me.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So there we have it. The Wonder Twins, Soul Sisters. All right, so I guess we can wrap it up until the next Facebook Live or what was it called? Clubhouse? Whatever. The journey continues.
Yes. So thank you very much. Again, my information's out there. Feel free to send a message to Melanated Soul Expo at Gmail or Melanated Soul Expo on Instagram. It's also on Facebook. Also, Melanated Soul Expo. It's on Facebook.
And I guess this whole recording will be on Facebook Live for a while, so it'll be on my page. I suppose. I'm gonna check when this is done.
Yeah, Zoom will email you a link. Give it about 15 minutes. It'll send you a link of the session.
Okay, great. Okay, but I didn't press record. Should I have recorded? I didn't.
Oh wow. Well, oh yeah, you didn't record it.
I didn't record it, but I think it should be on Facebook though. So I'll see.
Yeah, it should be. And if it is, you can, if you have downloader for Facebook, you can download it so you will
send it to YouTube, and I could download it and then put it on YouTube actually. So that's
what's your YouTube?
Terris Strength on YouTube.
Oh, okay. All right, I will.
Yep, that's where all my videos are, and yep, my videos. So I can download it and put it on YouTube, and it'll just be on YouTube under Terris Strength.
Okay.
And everybody can access it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I gotta go.
All right.
It was a pleasure meeting and interacting with all of you tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're getting an email very shortly.
Likewise.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Good night. All right.
Good night, everybody.